right. Greetings, one and all. Hope y'all having a great day. Rep your city, rep your city. We got Oakland in the building. We got Benton in the house. We got Greensboro in the building. To everybody on Facebook, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm representing Chicago, Illinois. We got Naptown in the building, a.k.a. Indianapolis. And here we go. It's Black History Month, as you all know. We got Baltimore in the building. Rep your city, rep your city. Yes, indeed. We got Chicago in the house. I figured this Black History Month, today is a good day to talk about MLK. Philadelphia's in the building. And that tragic loss. We got Lotta in the building. We got San Jose in the house. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, huh? So I thought today was a good day to honor MLK. And all kinds of stuff going through my head today. It's really interesting because as a young shorty, I remember I was going to music college. I must have been about 19. I was going to Vandercook College of Music. And, I was just getting blacker and blacker every day from 10 years old. But, being a child, you can't focus on it, but it's there. At that time, my mother had me and my sister in dance school with a Miss Juanita Hamilton. She had a daughter named Vanessa. They lived in Morgan Park. We lived in Maple Park. It was only like 3 blocks away. So my mother made arrangements that she would watch Vanessa so she can go to school and come home and have lunch with us. By the time she get out of school, she could just go home. In return, we would get free dancing lessons because when I was a little boy, I was about 2. I went to work with my father, and my father sat me up on this high thing, and he was up there sitting with me. And they called him for his run at the bus company to pick his run, and he jumped down, and I jumped down trying to follow him, busted my chin and broke my leg. I was like 2, almost 2, something like that, 18 months, 2 weeks, something like that. As you know, my mother was not really pleased with him. As we got older, she put me in this dance school so that I would use my leg. And when I was 10 years old, a song came out and went, with your bad self, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. So I told my mother, Mom, I want to do it at the recital because we would do a recital every year at Dunbar High School, a 2-day recital, Saturday and Sunday. It was like being on TV. So I went, she said, go ask Miss Hamilton. So I went and asked Miss Juanita Hamilton. She said, yeah. So, at 10 years old, for me to be so gung ho to want to do that song in front of a huge audience like that, I was just different. By the time I got in like high school, I was really leaning heavy towards like Last Poets, Gil Scott Heron. I had an English class, and we had to do some type of something in front of the class. I did Gil Scott Heron. That's crazy. I wore like a military suit up on my plastic gun, like I had a big bazooka. I put a belt on it so I could throw it over. So I was really, really militant. So by the time I got in college, in Vandercook College of Music, one day at school, they was talking about music, and they was trying to say music started in Europe, and I just couldn't take it no more. Now that was crazy because it was my freshman year, and I only had about another week or 2 to go to finish that freshman year, but I just couldn't go no more. So I started ditching. I just would leave home and I wouldn't go to the music college. I would go to the library, and I remember that it was a brother that I went to high school with. His name was Michael Herb. He was like a junior when we was like a freshman. He was a friend with his good friends with Michael Griswold, and my best friend, one of my best friends was Doug, which was Michael's brother. So we used to go to concerts with him all the time and stuff. So when I graduated at 18, I would see him. He used to say, "Read Malcolm X speak, read Malcolm X speak, read Malcolm X speak." So I got frustrated with Black history not being taught, and I just wasn't feeling right. So I stopped going to school. I had 2 more weeks ago. I had like an A too in music college. And I started going to the library every day, 5 days a week, instead of going to the music college. And I was reading Malcolm X Speaks. And when I read Malcolm X Speaks, I just started hating Dr. Martin Luther King. I hated him because reading that book, Malcolm was kind of like painting him in one way and Malcolm in another way. So Malcolm, that book kind of made me think that MLK was a sellout or something. And I kept that attitude a while before I realized that was not true. And I got a little older and I started looking at the situation. And I was like, oh, that's not true. Malcolm kind of misled me. because I started realizing that MLK was a force to be reckoned with, and I started learning more about civil rights. And I started really respecting the power of the boycott. The boycott, in many ways, is more powerful than a gun when you're dealing with a capitalist society that's based off of money. So I started seeing them, MLK was a genius. And then I started studying him and found out he was fearless. And so he became like a hero, you know. I started looking at them as two sides of the same coin. And then I started to find out that, Malcolm uh, was not always the same Malcolm. So I started finding out the other side to Malcolm as Malcolm began to mature. And I come to find out that Malcolm actually held MLK in high regards. So I kept looking into the information, and I started learning the dynamics. And that's when I started realizing that I started learning about the church. MLK took over, that the brother that ran that church was a revolutionary, and MLK came in behind a lot of gunplay and violence. So he definitely flipped it to calm everything down. I started doing my research, and I kind of find out that MLK was bigger than life. That he was really the man. That he was actually really in a position to be bigger than Malcolm, because Malcolm was in the Nation of Islam, which was Elijah was light years ahead of his time. So at that time, all these foundational black Americans coming from the South, the Nation of Islam was relatively small compared to the Baptist and Methodist Church. So that's when I realized that MLK had a bigger audience. And MLK wasn't willing to have black people go and get in a line of fire. So he didn't want to go the radical violent route because he felt like it would be a slaughter, which he was 100% correct. Also, I started to realize that Elijah didn't like what Malcolm was saying either. and that MLK was more in line with Elijah Muhammad than Malcolm was. That Malcolm was kind of getting out there and putting everybody in danger. The things he was saying, Black Americans was not ready for the smoke he was, you know what I'm saying? He was saying one thing, but we wasn't built like that. We wasn't ready for that. We had just came up from the South, barely just getting homes. Some were still living in apartments, them old style apartments where you had to warm up your own water and all that. So we was transitioning from the old cities where they were trying to rebuild these cities, and these foundational Black Americans come up from the South in the middle of the industrial era. And that MLK knew how to hit him in the wallet, and MLK realized that America needed that workforce from the South to come to the North, to come to Indiana, to come to Chicago, to come to Michigan, so they can get work done. And that white America was beginning, the powers that be was beginning to not really like racism because it didn't go along with the money. And that the people, the whites up north, they was trying to get money, and that's what the Civil War was kind of all about. We trying to get money. And we need this workforce up here, and we got to compete with these other countries because they're going to world wars now. So they like, listen, we having world wars. We competing with France and England, and so America started getting on the global side of things and saying, okay, we got to be a great country. We can't be a segregated country. So there was a divide in America between the racist whites and the whites that was trying to be industrialized. They needed that workforce. All those strikes that MLK was having, it was hurting their pockets. And when it hurt their pockets, it revealed the necessity for the people. They said, not only are they hurting their pocket, we need them. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. We have a strong workforce here. If we all work together, we're going the wrong way. So that's because MLK pushed the line, the Civil Rights Bill was signed. Now, without that Civil Rights Bill signed, you can't get on a bus or airplane. You can't get on a bus, you can't get on an airplane, you can't get on a train or nothing. So now we got some brothers say we should have built our own. We had our own bus companies and things like that, but segregated bus companies couldn't make enough money. The only way you can make money, you got to pick up everybody. This is why the Negro League failed. Because, yeah, we had baseball just for blacks, but that wasn't enough money. That only would have been enough money if the whole country was black. But if you black and you're a country and you're a minority and you just create a small minority business, you would not have enough money to survive in a country that's based and prices is based on a lot of people. And so this was a lot of brothers who understand about economics when they said we should have built our own. When we would have built our own and only went after our money, there wouldn't have been enough money to sustain in a country where you live with other people. And so the economics in the country is going to be based on the total population of the country. So for you to make enough money, you got to have access to the entire country. Other than that, you won't be able to survive, especially when violence is there and they can burn down your businesses and sabotage your buses and your taxis, which anybody that didn't think that would happen is slow. Firebomb your factories and stuff like that. It's a dream in a country that's kind of racist to think that that racist country will let you build your own. But a lot of brothers ain't military minds. They don't have a military mind state because you can't really talk to me about radical moves like that without weapons and self-defense, which you didn't have. You didn't have enough self-defense to go independent at that particular time. You barely can do it now. That's another story for another day. So when you look back, MLK was a genius. He was smarter than the blacks and the whites. And if you look back at this country after the civil rights movement, that's when this country was doing the best. The country was doing the best in the 70s, better than it's doing now. The economy in America in the 70s was 50 times better than the economy today. Americans lived better in the 70s than they live today. That's a fact. They got more for their dollar. After the civil rights movement. That's a fact. I don't believe white America learned a lesson. So they probably go into a Great Depression. America is headed for some type of economical collapse. And racism got a lot to do with it. Quiet as it's kept. Because racism will make you shut down money. You'll put the hate over the money. For example, look how they mistreat the black farmers. Well, how much money, if they treated the black farmers right, how much money would they bring into this country? We don't know. If they put money into the black schools and put money into black engineering and black doctors and stop discriminating against us, how good would this country be doing? Better than it's doing now. So Martin Luther King Jr., he was like ahead of his times. And a lot of people knew it. They knew he was the one. Elijah knew he was the one. Malcolm knew he was the one. Malcolm went to a position to say, we're going to protect MLK, was his position before he was unalive. Malcolm was supporting the marches and everything and telling people, if y'all touch him, you're going to be met with people that are about self-defense. And so Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is like one of the greatest men ever lived in modern times. To be honest with you, Gandhi was a racist. Gandhi is not as great as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Gandhi did not like black people. Wouldn't sit next to him on a train. That's a fact. But MLK was on the front lines. Fearless. And anytime our people needed him, he showed up. He definitely showed up. He was a genius. Everything that we doing today, he was at the front line of making it all happen. And so I remember how everything went down. I'm just not brutal like that. So I figured this was the right way to get off my chest what's bothering me. And like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's only one person in this picture that's not smiling. You notice that? Look at everybody's face except MLK. Look at his face. If this ain't prophetic, what is? Look, nobody knows what's going on but two people in this picture. And you can see the horror in his face. Look at his face. Deep, ain't it? So by it being Black History Month, I said I'll go this route. Because I got some class, so I'm not going to crash out. There was a situation where MLK was in Chicago. And he was on the west, he was over, and he was west side, and he was asking, where's everybody? You know? Where's the young people at? He said, they ain't coming. He said, well, where the leadership? Where is it? They say, well, they talking about, they at the pool hall, but they ain't going to come. MLK said, take me to the pool hall. So he took him to the pool hall, where the vice lords is at. they stronghold, because he want to ask the vice lords why they ain't out there marching. And he went over to the pool hall and he said, I'll play somebody and I'll play in some pool. And if I win, y'all come to the march, y'all come to the gathering. And I think he said, if I lose, I'll pay y'all this much money. They said, okay. This is in the hood on the west side. But they didn't know he was a pool shark. Now you don't get no better leadership than this. So he went over there to the vice lord stronghold in the hood. Word got out, everybody come over to the thing. Martin Luther King is at the pool hall. You see the black woman, the young black women in his picture? You could tell they came over just because they heard. What they didn't know is he was a pool shark. He won easily. And they came to the march. Many of them ended up getting involved. Now this is leadership at the highest level. You don't get no leadership bigger than this. Not only is it inspiring to the vice lords and the brothers and sisters in the hood, but it's inspiring the civil rights people that following MLK. They can't believe it either. Look at their faces. They in the hood playing pool against the gang members. And there's nothing but black love in the building. Nothing but black love in the building. That's what you talk about leadership to the highest level. Sure did. He came inside the Robert Taylor homes. Sure did. One of my brethren, his mother took him to see MLK. And MLK picked him up and kissed him on the cheek and held him. And that's like a memory that he just cherished that. Like, MLK picked me up. It affected him forever. So it wouldn't be right to have a Black History Month and not show honors and respect to the brother. I'm glad I was able to wake up and not, stay on the path I was on. I was able to keep doing my research on him and Malcolm and find out, Malcolm was young. And when he wrote Malcolm X Speaks, he didn't even have that same ideology later in life. This is what the black man and black woman got to get back to. So this man was out there on the front line, went to jail behind, standing up for us. Him and Ralph Abernathy. Boy, you sure need a partner like Ralph. If you can find a comrade like Ralph, it's worth $1 billion. I can only imagine what Ralph felt like when he seen his brethren on the ground like that. And we'll talk about the rest of the story some other time. But so many things MLK did for the black community. And I don't really think MLK get enough. I don't think it get talked about enough. I don't. I think we need to be teaching our children and our grandchildren everything about him. And some kind of way we got to bring back this strength, this unity to go out and make change. Something we kind of lost. Something we don't have no more. The backlash is on the internet, but in public, he's way more loved than that. So the internet, G-Rod, it ain't real. Uh, in life, he get a lot of respect. A lot of the younger generation, they don't look at him negatively. They just not really focused on history too much at all. But the people that you see saying certain stuff, they small. They a small group. They can't even say that. They can't say that to their mothers or their grandmothers or nobody like that. They can't go to no family reunion and say that. If they talking bad about MLK, you can't go nowhere and say that, especially around none of the older people that was here. And for him to give you the freedom to ride the bus and all that, and you to talk crazy, it just show you don't know no history. Because without the Civil Rights Bill, black people can't go nowhere. If you can't get on the bus, You sure can't get on no plane in Jamaica and come here. So even the black immigrants, they have no idea. Without the Civil Rights Act, without blacks being allowed to ride on a bus or a train, blacks here in the country, ain't no way blacks somewhere else gonna get on a plane or a boat. Without the Civil Rights Act, you ain't getting on no European plane and sit. They ain't letting no black person sit on no seat next to them coming from Ghana or nowhere. They ain't gonna let you get on no plane from Ethiopia and come here without civil rights. For sure. And the thing about MLK is MLK, a lot of who's not FBA. But the thing about MLK is he just went from one battle to another, from one battle to another, from one battle to another. Yeah, they not FBA, but they slow because without the right to ride the bus, right? You ain't getting on no plane. That's why black immigrants is out of line with some of them just talking crazy. Totally out of line. Because without the civil rights bill, there would be no black immigrants in this country. I mean, I think MLK Day gets a lot of respect, but I don't think I don't think the young people know the information. But the reason I don't think the young people know the information is because I don't think it's intentional. I think information switched to the internet, and the older kings and queens, they're not on the internet. That's the only reason a lot of information is now young people get the information off the internet. The people that got the information are not on the internet. And that's where we're lacking. Because the brothers and sisters that got the history and information, they're not on the internet. I'm one of the only ones. I'm about to be 68. I'm like probably the king of this shit. Ain't nobody my age on here get out on the internet like me. They can't work all the stuff. I'm on every social media platform. I don't none of my peers is my equal when it comes to the information like that. They don't mess with the internet like that. They might look at it. They might be on Facebook a little bit, but the brothers that got the knowledge, they're not on here. They're not. They don't know how to work the internet. Somebody else got to film them in a video and post it. Claude Anderson don't know how to work this. Boyce Watkins got to record him and post it. He can't. He ain't gonna post himself. So that's where you know what I'm saying. The elders they don't do the internet. I wouldn't be on here if it wasn't for what y'all call God. God is the only reason I'm on here. I was in the county jail. An angel came to me and said, "The Most High said, when you get out, You got to do music. You got to put a lot of your money into music. I said, I'll think about it. It came the next day, said, what's your answer? I said, okay. I got out. I started putting my money into music, which put me around a lot of young people. But I was getting out the game, so my money was going down, 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 but I was investing it. So now I'm in the music business. I got a record label, but I'm the CEO, I'm the manager, I'm everything. So what I got to do? I got to advertise. I can't afford to pay to advertise. So what I got to do? I got to get on MySpace. I got to get on the forums. What I got to do? I got to learn how to make my own advertisements. I got to learn how to work the internet. I'm on MySpace. They started talking about this something called Twitter. I go over to Twitter. But MySpace was really the one that taught me how to make the pictures, because that's what they was doing over on MySpace. You make the pictures, the graphics, and all that. MySpace was dope. MySpace was better than a lot of this stuff. MySpace was better than Twitter by far. Then I started hearing about Instagram. And then I got on YouTube. But I had to learn how to do all that stuff myself. All because the Most High told me go in the music business so I wouldn't be on the internet. Tell me that ain't deep. So sometimes you got to listen to righteousness. It'll tell you go over here. And you don't want to go, but you don't know that you got to go over there because it's really trying to get you to go over there because that's where your ride going to be to take you over there. And it's going to be another ride to take you over there. If you don't go over here, you're not going to go over there and you're not going to end up where you're supposed to be. So you're not always sent where you're supposed to be. You sit to the bus stop or to the stop where you're going to get picked up to go to the next spot, So you got to follow the righteous path that you told to follow, and then it's going to take you where you're supposed to be. Basically. You can't make this up. Think about it. If I didn't go and do what I was told to do, I wouldn't know how to do none of this. I learned how to do all this because I had a record label. I had to do my promotion. I got to do my graphics. I got to do my editing. I got to do all that. I got to post my artists. If I don't post it, who's going to do it? So I got to learn all this stuff. Like I'm not on YouTube now. I'm on StreamYard. And I'm broadcasting on YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, Kick. Ain't nobody, I'm finna be 70. Real time giving y'all game, y'all man. So that's why the young generation don't know a lot of stuff, because the people that could teach them ain't on the platform where the young people is at. There's brothers out here can tell you everything about Martin Luther King and all of that, but they ain't on the internet. Somebody got to go interview them. Basically. I'm like the only one. They're the most happy doing what it do. And I've been around black consciousness since I was a shorty. Then I've been in the streets. So it's kind of like not. So I kind of like got the whole package. Which way you want to go? You want to go righteousness, or you want to get on some dummy? You can't make this up. You know what I'm saying? I can't take credit. How I make myself like that? I don't got nothing to do with that. So that was a master plan that I didn't put together. It was known that somebody would have to be older, somebody would have to know the knowledge, and somebody would have to know the streets, which most people that know the knowledge don't know nothing about the streets. Most people got the knowledge, can't keep the street dudes in line. And you can't teach nowadays because the idiots from the streets gonna come disturb the rest of the class. So you got to know how to make Shorty calm down, and you got to know how to move and shake so you don't create a bigger mess. Because like in the county jail, you're trying to squash beef. You don't push beef. You don't want the deck to go up. See what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know. Like you're in the county jail, the whole thing is to not have the deck go up and everybody lose their privileges, and we on lockdown for 4 months, locked in the bathroom because basically your cell is a toilet. You locked in a little place with a toilet. You in the bathroom. I don't know if y'all know that, but black men that's locked up all over this country, they locked in a bathroom. Let that sink in. All the brothers in prison, they locked up in a bathroom. It's a toilet and the bed is in the bathroom. Let that sink in. So you out here doing crazy stuff, throwing your life away when you could be out here raising a family, getting married, helping the community. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you locked in the bathroom. Illuminati Congo, no. He was coming down to O Block visiting me. He wild. Don't let him fool you. Illuminati Congo was down at O Block. We be in there arguing. I mean, I used to be arguing with it. Well, I don't know if y'all would call it arguing because it's like a righteous discussion. But I would be arguing with him because, he got a whole lot of knowledge. So he like a formidable, you know what I'm saying? People like that, we be wanting to argue with. We be wanting to argue with people like Illuminati Congo because he's a formidable opponent, and he know a lot of stuff. So he know how to make you be quiet for a minute, like, oh, okay, yeah. You know, he know how to make you be quiet for a minute. You have to take in some of his knowledge. Okay, let me get that. You know what I'm saying? let me get that knowledge right there. Let me get that and add that to my repertoire. I see what you're saying, like that. Mm, yeah, that's my brother. I knew a little Illuminati Congo when he was little, when he was like a teen or something. He would be at the Haile Selassie festivals running around with his dreads. And next thing I know, he was grown, and right now, he's an elder. That's weird. He's an elder now. That's crazy. Yeah, but I like we like I like to argue. I don't like to argue with people, but I like to argue with people that's wise. I be wanting to argue with. I just use the word argue, but I feel like words we supposed to make them. Well, I think arguing is good. They just I don't know. They just call it something. I think arguing is good with somebody got some knowledge. I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun because you got to think, or you're gonna get dogged out in argument. It's challenging. I think it's good for the man. Yeah, Abernathy was his man, but a lot has been done from MLK. He's helped black people all over the world, and all the minorities should be honoring him because a lot of people don't understand what life was really like. And the Asians, the Hispanics, all the Africans, all those people should honor him because they don't know that it wasn't anti black, it was whites only. And this is what the civil rights movement fought against, whites only. If you was a Chinaman, a Mexican, El Salvadoran, you could not drink off of that fountain. So see, it wasn't anti-black. It wasn't no blacks. It was whites only. It's a big difference between no blacks and whites only. It's a big difference. So you come over here from India, Pakistan, you don't respect foundational black Americans because, they don't understand that, MLK had an army behind him. He had a bunch of brothers and sisters. Look how they looking at him on this bus. They not liking him and Ralph on that bus. Now they put their life in danger getting on that bus. Look at the frown on this guy's face that's in the front of the picture. Look at his face. He is not happy at all. So the only reason I was able to get on a plane and fly to Hawaii and all that is because of MLK. And all the brothers and sisters that supported him, they don't get no props either. Because the people made MLK. Because when he said go to the right, they went to the right. When he said go to the left, they went to the left. When he told them, don't get on no bus, they got cars and took each other to work. Look, the bus empty. They walked to work. Yeah. They walked to work before they got on the bus. Let that sink in. For a year, for 1 year, they don't tell you that part. for a year, really for like 13 months, really. A year and a month. Foundational Black Americans walked and picked each other up and took each other to work and did not get on the bus. This is one of the greatest pictures ever, with the brother picking up the sisters, helping them get to work, and the bus across the street is empty. This is the power of unity and the power of the boycott. This is what you have to do to get somewhere. You have to stick together. Then we lost a lot of, lot of soldiers. You're 100% right. The young generation, they really did well with Target. You want Bistro, you 1,000,000,000% right. They did not go to Target. Target just laid off a bunch of people again, and Target is not going to bounce back. And a lot of people never went back to Target. They never went back. You don't see a lot of obese people. Well, the reason you don't see a lot of obese people is because they would be thick. Sometimes they'd be what they used to call heavy set. But they didn't have the processed food like that. They didn't eat a lot of processed food. These people are in Alabama and they're in the middle of farmland. So they're getting fresh food and produce. And back in those days when I was a child, um, at my grandfather's farm, for lunch, they would give us a watermelon. They don't eat lunch. They don't eat lunch. So they don't eat lunch. They didn't eat lunch back then. You eat breakfast, and then you don't eat lunch because there's food everywhere. There's peaches and pecans and walnuts and watermelons. And then you eat dinner, and then the men come in from out on the farm. If you're living on the farm, they come in later and they call that supper. Because it might be a little late and granddaddy might be back there eating by himself. So you'd have dinner, breakfast, and supper, basically. And in the middle of the day, my granddaddy, he used to grow these small watermelons like that. And he'd say, get you in them watermelons. We'd get them busted and eat it. But they would call us and give us watermelon or cantaloupe or something like that. But you didn't really eat in the day. When you wake up in the morning, you smell the food. You hear the roosters early. If you're on the farm down there, you hear the roosters. My granddaddy would be out. You got to be out on the farm because you got to water everything before it gets hot. And so when you're a grower, you don't get to sleep late. When I grew cannabis in Hawaii, I got to get up soon as the break of dawn because I got to water these plants before the sun get up so they could dry off so they won't wilt. They can't go all day without water. And if it's real, real hot and you water them, they'll wilt. So you have to water them early in the morning and you have to water them at night. if you're growing outside in the hot, where it's obviously going to get hot if you're growing in summer or you're in a warm climate. So you have to get up early. You can't be lazy. And back in those days, there's no lights and stuff outside at night like that. So everybody's in at night until they was able to get like a juke joint or something. People might drive their car to the little spot where they got liquor in the juke joint, but mostly you in at night. On a farm, you definitely in at night. They got dogs up under the porch that sleep under the porch. They throw them the scraps of the food that don't get ate. And that's because there's wolves and monsters out there. But that's another video I might talk about. It's creatures. When you go out in rural areas. So this is why back then they had all them dogs, 4 or 5 dogs, sleep under the porch. This is an alarm system. And this is going to keep away werewolves and other things like that. Ku Klux Klan, if you're black, give you a warning, somebody coming up to the house. And my granddaddy kept his shotgun like hanging in the living room, like racks like this, and just sit it on there. It's just hanging there. Anytime somebody pulls in his driveway you don't recognize, he get the shotgun and comes on the porch with it. Who that? Who that? You know? Yeah, supper. And imagine me and my parents was going down south doing all of this. We was going to Alabama every year because they got to go see their relatives to make sure their relatives is all right. My father's relatives is in Decatur, Alabama. My mother's relatives is in Uniontown and Birmingham. Every year we got to go to Alabama. We got to go to like 5, 6 cities in Alabama to see everybody. We had to be off the road by 4 in the evening. So we was going down there through the whole Martin Luther King and all that. I was going to Alabama. Before he got on the live, when he got on the live, and after he got on the live, we was still in Alabama every year. And you could tell it was different. You could tell. And around 4 o'clock, we pull into a Holiday Inn. This is how you know the history. Later, I started putting 2 and 2 together. Oh, that's why we would see all the black people. We would always meet black families at the Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn must have been the hotel that was Negroes could stay at. We always went to Standard to get gas. Those are places that Negroes could buy gas. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that back then. I didn't know that till I got a green book recently. When my parents when we on our way to Alabama, we get to Nashville, Tennessee, or Louisville, Kentucky, and pull into a Holiday Inn. Why almost every time there's a black family unpacking their car, going to their room at the same time we are? Because there was a time zone that they got to get the hell off the road. See, all that didn't make sense till later because my parents didn't tell us none of this, so we didn't know we was in danger. So I was in danger my whole childhood going to Alabama, and not until I got grown, I started watching documentaries and study. Then I started thinking why my parents was moved because they didn't tell us. We probably would have been too scared. Just let that sink in. Always holidaying, and we always meet other black children, which means we all had to get off the road. We was all getting off the road at the same time. Let that sink in. That's why, cause I'm like that. We would always meet other black families every time we get to the hotel. That's because all the black people had to get off the road. Cause you get out there going through them sundown towns at night, it's a rap, and they out there hunting too for coons. They called it. The vibe in Chicago when they killed MLK was just crazy. My father was a straight safe on the streets. He was a bus driver. It was the riots was crazy. It was something my children and grandchildren will never understand. Imagine going outside with your mother going and everything burnt up, but not the black stuff. All the Chinese hair wigs, because the Chinese used to sell wigs to black women. Haven't changed much than how it is now with the Asians doing the nails. It was the same thing, the same stuff they still do to us. Back then, you would go in these black shopping areas, and there would be these Chinese dudes selling these wigs. They've always exploited the black woman and her hate for her own hair. They've always exploited her with her hair. They've been doing that for her. Same play. Until the black woman accepts her natural hair, you'll never be free. You'll always be in mental slavery and economical slavery. So when you see all these blonde hair and straight hair and women, I ain't hating on you because you don't know no better. My sister didn't know no better. My grandmother raised my mother like that. So by the time my mother raised my sister like that, my sister don't know why. It's just what you do. So my sister didn't know why. My mother knew a little bit why. That you had to pass. But my grandmother was the one that really knew. They used to have to put a wig on that head. So my grandmother was in it. My mother was in it as a child, so she kind of knew. But then my sister don't know. So what everything my mother doing in my sister's hair is just something she passing down from Alabama. My sister have no idea. They're not really ashamed of their hair. They just it's been passed down. So they're not ashamed. Like my sister wasn't ashamed of their hair. It's been passed down from their great grandmothers and their great great grandmothers. So they're not doing it out of shame. They doing it because it's black culture now. It's culture, Michael. That's why they're doing it. They're not doing it because they're ashamed. They're doing it because it's culture. Now, subliminally, they're not gonna like it because they taught this is the way it's supposed to be done. So when it's not done like that, yeah, they're gonna be unhappy. But it's not because they don't like their hair like that. It's because they already been taught this is the way it's supposed to be. They don't know why. They're not doing it the same way their great grandmother and them was doing it. They doing it because Their mama did it, but their mama didn't even know why she was doing it. It's culture now. So they not, the black woman don't hate her hair. She just, a part of her culture now is to get your hair done. That's been passed down from their great grandma. Yeah, just like Christmas. Yes, yeah. It's exactly like that. Same with the black man. That's why you get your hair cut. You never traditionally, you have no clippers on your head every week like that, lining up your beard and all that. You know how many brothers come over here and tell me cut this off and all that? They don't know no better. They brainwashed. When they capture you and they put you into slavery, they cut all that stuff off, make you presentable, put you on the auction block, cut your bald head, put you on the auction block, cut all that off, put you on the auction block. Look, we got a nice clean one here. So they just keep you clean ever since slavery. And then then you start doing it. You start cutting it off. The black man the same way. He don't like his hair. The black man does not like his hair. He tied stocking caps on his head. He tied stuff trying to make it have waves. He get linings, trimmings. He keep it. You know what I'm saying? He don't know he don't like it. It's tradition. Your daddy did it. Your granddaddy went to the barber shop. So you go to the barber shop. The only way you could see nature is with the babies. Your son do not want no his hair combed or cut. He hate it. All the little boys hate it. And we have to program them to go and sit in that chair and cut their hair. They hate it. They hate it. All the babies. When you got the son, he do not want his hair cut. When my daddy used to take me to the barber shop, I hated it. I still remember I hated it. I just did. It was something about it. I ain't like it. By the time you get in, by the time you get in fifth, sixth grade, you with it. Got you. I don't know why I hated it, but I did not like the barbershop. So my generation, we didn't like it, so we came out with the afro. That's why the afro was a rebellion against the barbershop. Man, stop cutting all my hair off, man. Let my hair grow out. No, they don't like it. Little boys don't like their haircut. None of them. White ones, black ones, whatever. They don't like it. They hate it. They hate it. Some of them remember it, and the first chance they get older, they grow their hair out. So that was the afro was about Alexis. It was a rebellion, and afro came out. They don't like their hair combs, none of that. They don't like that. Ugh. I remember when the afro came out, I ran home. I said, Mommy, can I get a natural? It's called a natural look. Mommy, can I get a natural? It's like, no, you ain't going to call me. But I kept asking her, Mommy, can I get a natural? Mommy, finally she let me get a natural. Then my daddy went and got one. Then my daddy went and got one, the natural. Boom. First they had the bush. I remember going and telling my daddy, tell the barber, can he leave some on there? Like, tell the barber, can he leave some on there? I ain't kidding. Tell the barber, can he leave some on there? See how they had me? My mom must have took me to get some pictures. But trust me, when I went to the barbershop and he did that to my head, I did not like it. I didn't like it. I hated it. Yeah, I hated it. Even when I look at it now, it looks unnatural. It don't look godly at all. It look like you under Roman occupation or something. Like God's stupid. Like God just grew hair on your head for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like God just grew it for nothing. You just got hair for nothing. So God's stupid, huh? You was made with hair on your head. Stupid, right? Your creator's stupid. So go cut it off. Because that's basically your creator's stupid. You don't need fingernails. You don't need no hair. You know what I'm saying? I hated it. Then the bush came out where you cut the sides and let the top grow. I was so happy that they let something grow. Jesus Christ. Why you letting this man cut all my hair off? I just did not like it. I didn't like it. But that's the way they raise us. You know what I'm saying? Trust me. After this picture, they cut that off. That little bit of hair, yeah. After this picture, they cut it off. You know what I'm saying? The way we was raised. They just did the best they could with what they was taught. And then they were city people. So, as city people coming to the city, they was trying to increase and do better than they was doing in Alabama. See, that's when I was little. That's when I don't know, I was probably wait one. See, they from Alabama. They in Chicago. They trying to step their game up. You know what I'm saying? They're not in the country no more, so they trying to dress more like the city and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you can see I got the afro like what, 5th grade or something. I don't know how I was here then. I think I had just cut my perm out on this picture. I think I had a perm. I just was letting my perm grow out on this one. I think. Yeah, this is before I got the Jerry curl. I got Jerry curl after this, but I had let my perm come out. My daddy still had his afro from the 60s. But he got that afro because of me. Because I was like, hey, can I get a natural? They said no. Then I got one. Then he got one. You know what I'm saying? And his hair was grew better than mine. He had a better texture. I had my mother's texture, son. You know what I'm saying? The only reason I don't look like my dad because he was eating all that meat. That's cow and pig. That's why his face looked like that. That's a fact. That's why my daddy face looked like that. That's from that food y'all be eating. My mother did. My mother mostly ate chicken and fish. He the one ate a lot of beef and steak and stuff, and you can see it. That's beef and steak. Because without that, I look more like him. That's that food. That's what that food do to you. That's that food. You are what you eat. You eating cows, you gonna start looking like a cow. That's another subject for another day, but that's facts. When he got old and sick, his face went right back the way it's supposed to be. That's a fact. That's them animals. He was on high blood pressure medicine too, on that picture. So it was. He was on high blood pressure medicine. Yeah, this is I think is this high school? Mm, this might be high school. That might be that might be high school. I don't know. See his face on this picture? Look at his face on that picture. And look at his face on that picture. That's that food, man. That's that food. On this picture, he was on high blood pressure medicine too. He wasn't. Yep. He was on high blood pressure medicine all them years. Yeah, he was on high blood pressure medicine. When I went vegan, he was like, "Boy, you tried to tell me something." I said, "Boy, I mean, Dad, you've been on high blood pressure medicine for 20 years. Shut up talking to me." like that. Man, I went hard. I ain't one of these people go hard on other people. I go hard on my parents just like anybody else. Yeah, I'm a mixture. But if he would have been eating right, he would have looked more like me. If I would have kept eating meat, I would have looked more like him. Though, if I would have kept eating meat, I would have looked more like him. Maybe not if I was eating chicken and fish. If I'm eating pork and beef, yeah, that stuff change your face. Yeah, yes, yep, just see, yeah. I ain't never went back around my high school people and stuff. I ain't really go around. I never been back around like my high school friends, my friends I grew up with in the neighborhood. I got disconnected when I moved to California and moved to Hawaii. I got disconnected. Most people they go to high school, they get out, they go to school, they still in the neighborhood, they still visit each other. But I was gone, so that kind of cut the cord. So I didn't have the normal life of be staying in touch with my high school friends and all that. I ain't do all that. I was gone. I mean, I seen someone when I got back. Now he wasn't grabbing his butt. The dude had ice. The little boy had ice down his shirt and ice in his pants. And Mike was trying to help Shake get the ice out of his back of his pants. Ice was all down the little boy back and all in his shirt, and his shirt was all wet and all in his pants. That's why Mike was hitting him, trying to shake the ice out, bro. That's why he was hitting his butt like that, trying to get the ice out the boy's shorts. That's a fact. Look it up. He was trying to get the ice out the boy's clothes. You could see how he hitting him. That ain't no molestation. Hitting nobody like that on pop, pop, pop like that. That ain't no people just be making up stuff, bro. The daddy, everybody came out and told the real story, but you know how that go. Everybody didn't say no. Michael was getting the ice out of the boy's clothes, which is common sense when you look at the picture. It don't even look like molestation. Who the hell gonna do that in public? I mean, some stuff is just common sense. What the hell Michael Jordan gonna go try to fill on a little boy butt two, three times, hitting him like that? What kind of molestation is that? You know what I'm saying? Would I do what? Help him get the ice out of his pants? Yeah. Yeah. When you got children, you taking their clothes off and there, you got to do all kind of crazy shit with kids. You got kids, John? You might got to do anything with a kid. You might have to actually pull your boy's drawers down where he done stuck something down in his damn drawers. For sure. When you got little kids. Yeah, when you got little kids, yeah, you gonna see it. You gotta do stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you got, anybody got kids? Hey, if you a daddy and you got a daughter and she a baby one, two, you might have to take her clothes off. I already told him the answer, so I ain't gonna keep going with him. All he gotta go is don't look it up. It's all on the internet. The boy had ice down his back. His shirt was soaking wet, and Mike was trying to help him get the ice out of his shorts and out of his shirt, which it makes sense. Ain't no grown man gonna go and keep hitting no boy's butt like that in public, but whatever, you know, you know how internet people. When you tell them something that makes sense, they don't want it to make sense. They want it to be something demented. Because once somebody tell you that, it's like, yeah, that's what it looked like too. It definitely looked like, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right, come back tomorrow, bro. Believe what you want. You know what I'm saying? Ah, that story's going nowhere. It's the internet. Yeah, that story's going nowhere. Nobody ain't worried about that shit. You gotta be a fool. You gotta be a fool that that happened. Like they trying to say in public, in front of everybody. You got something got to be wrong with you. I'm not feeding into that just because something wrong with you. You believe what you want to believe. You know what I'm saying? Once you hear the real story, you're supposed to be telling them, say, yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. He was trying to shake something out of his pants. And we didn't got so, you can't touch nobody, you can't do nothing. Weirdos. Ain't got no kids. If you got kids, if you're a daddy and you got daughters, man, you be hoping the mama always be there so you don't got to do nothing uncomfortable. Got kids, you know. This is B Day. Him and my father got the same birthday. It's my father's birthday. So that's it for that. Much respect to MLK, everything he's done. He was really, really a great man. I was a kid doing all of that. He did a lot of great things. A really great man. It's good to go study him, go check him out, study him. If you want to study something, that's somebody definitely to study. He's done a lot of great things. We want to keep his memory going. The March on Washington was tremendous. Nothing like that has been done since. The Million Man March was not like this. Look at all them people. And he put his life on the line. He went to jail a lot of times. He didn't have to get out. You know, you go in them jails, you ain't gonna necessarily come out back in those days. You know, them people went through a whole lot for us to be able to walk around here. A lot. That's something we can't be taken for granted. So my father was born in 1931. So we went through a lot. And look how they looking, those officers. If they could, they unalive him. Especially the tall one. Look at the tall. Look at his face. Nothing but hate. On top of that, MLK was at the forefront of reparations. At the forefront of reparations. And this young generation is the same way. They ain't taking nothing. They was willing to go to jail back then. The only difference between them is them and the young generation is the young generation willing to turn over them police cars and stuff like that. They ain't willing to go to jail, but they willing you gonna have to take the difference between the younger generation and them. They was willing to go to jail, and the young generation, you're gonna have to take them to jail because they're gonna wild out. So I don't feel like the young generation is weaker at all. I don't think so. I don't believe the young generation. I believe the young generation is standing on business. They just haven't acted a fool because ain't nobody made them. Because look what happened with Rodney King. Okay, look at Rodney King. Same situation. They not gonna play. Look at George Floyd. They tore up a whole bunch of cities over George. Yeah, they acted a fool over George. They tore downtown Chicago up over George. And so no, I don't believe we any weaker. I don't believe people playing with us like they played with my mom and them. We not under that type of racism like that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't under that type of racism like that. So it's not really fair to compare them. You know what I'm saying? They don't got the same reasons to act up that that generation had. It was way worse than it is for this generation. Yeah, everybody was growing an afro around the time everybody was growing their hair out a little bit. They might not have been growing a big one, but everybody was started to grow their hair out a little bit. It was the new thing. See, didn't nobody want to cut it too slick no more. Cause the girls like the little hair on your head. They didn't really like the women. Didn't really like the clean head. No, I did this instead. I didn't want to be disrespectful. So that's why I chose this. I kind of, you know what I'm saying? See, all you gotta do is look at the picture and you'll get the whole. Yeah, I'm talking in code. It's a reason. You got to think, why am I talking about this today? Well, it is Black History Month, but there's other reasons that I'm saying we remember, okay? We remember. We ain't forgot, you know? We ain't forgot. You know what I'm saying? I had to find my own way to kind of get some energy off because I ain't really want to disrespect nobody's family. The sisters were the finest they ever been. Uh, no, the sisters is always fine. They ain't never got no less finer. I don't know. They ain't got no less finer, but I don't know. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I just ain't said. I ain't even want to get into all of that. You know what I'm saying? With him becoming a reverend all of a sudden, and getting on the ground and putting a man blood all on him and taking that position, and you know, like I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Allegedly, somebody kept telling MLK to come out to go to dinner. He didn't want to go. I wonder who that was. Allegedly, somebody talked him into coming out there on that porch because he didn't want to even come out. Allegedly. Allegedly, supposedly, but I don't want to go that route. Not today. I'm gonna have a little respect. I'll probably go that route in a couple of weeks. Like I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, that's all I was thinking about. I was like, yeah, okay. We remember. We ain't forgot. You know what I'm saying? Some people will catch it, some people won't. Be slick with it. You know what I'm saying? Some people will catch it, some people won't. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Some people will get this live and some people won't. You know what I mean? Like I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. No, they didn't have to do no exercise. They was pretty much kind of took care of themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just want to give the brother some honor. Especially today. Much respect to all our champions, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, sometimes you find out you was on the same side, but it's too late by the time you find out. And sometimes by the time you find out, it's too late. I sure would like to know what was said for them to be laughing like that. That's what I always think. What was said? So much respect to MLK. Uh, and study MLK. Study the whole situation. and support the channel. Stay positive too. Don't let nobody put you on no negative. Stay positive. Know your history. Know who's who. Learn the history. Look how things play out. And thanks for supporting the channel. Victory.